Hello, and welcome to another Cuz Bad Guys Tactical Breakdown. In this, we're going to go over Night Models Batman Miniatures game, Bane Origins. This Bane is probably the closest one so far to any of the comics. He is out of, I believe it's the Arkham Origins video game. He's got the classic mask. He's doing the static pose with just standing there looking intimidating as all hell. That is totally what Bane is supposed to be all about. I love the miniature, and this is one of the only models that I have modified because I really love the comics and I really love Arkham War. It's a new 52 comic series. You guys would have to check that out. I've got a picture of my inspiration to making the model the way that I did. But before that, let's dive into his character card. So nobody knows Bane's name, which is awesome, and his alias is Bane. He is a leader for the Bane crew. So this guy gets to have the Inspire rule. So Inspire is spending one special, and any henchman with the inside of 10 centimeters of him get an extra counter. And that extra counter, action counter, can actually go above their maximum. So if somebody has like movement 3 and they already have 3 counters, he can make them get an extra one, so it goes to 4. The same thing for attack and defense and special. He gets to give out counters and go over maximum on people. Leader also gives him the ability to re-roll willpower checks, which is if like Poison Ivy tries to take him under control, or Mad Hatter, any of that stuff. Anytime he ever has to roll a willpower check, he can re-roll that because he is a leader. So let's go ahead and go on to his stats. So willpower 7. So out of leaders usually have willpower 7 or 8. So I would want to see him be willpower 8, but willpower 7 is good enough on him. He's willpower 8. I think you'd have too many counters really to, you'd always be trying to decide where to put that other counter. So willpower 7 is really good for him. And then one of his personal traits actually helps him out with willpower. So strength 3+. This guy is a monster. He totally wrecks people in close combat, which is what Bane is all about. Strength 3+ is on par with any of the Batmans. He is movement 3, attack 5, defense 3, and endurance 8. Movement 3, that's kind of in the middle ballpark where any of the characters are here in Batman, and movement 3 isn't too bad on him, and it's pretty good. He's not an acrobat, but he has the large rule, so he gets movement 12, and we'll go into that as soon as we get to his personal traits. So attack 5, really high, means people are only going to be blocking him on 5s and 6s, means he can put 5 counters into attack to punch the crap out of people, makes him a monster in close combat, which is what he is all about. Like, I can't say enough about that with Bane. He is the definition of a bruiser. Defense 3 makes him a little lacking because it's pretty easy to hit him. He doesn't have a ton of dice to be able to block. So you don't want to like rush him up in the middle of a crew or anything like that. And especially since he's a leader and he has Inspire, you want him surrounded by guys, and he just walks through and mops up people. He is really efficient at that, but you want to make sure he doesn't get shot. Just stuff like that. And then endurance 8. He is a tank, and he has a personal trait that actually goes into helping him being able to do that. So let's go to his personal traits. So first off, he has lethal blow. Lethal blow is spend one special counter. If you damage someone in close combat, they get the stunned effect. Stunned means that you can't spend, like whoever you punch, they can't spend action counters that turn. So essentially you paralyze them. It's like Bane hits you so hard that you like get stunned and cannot do anything. This makes him lethal as all hell. Guys like Batman and Deathstroke, if you run up to them and get that lethal blow off and you shut them down for the turn, it is devastating. You absolutely destroy them. So the next personal trait, let's go on to large. This is the bonus to movement. So instead of being movement 10, he's movement 12, but he's not an acrobat, so he can't ignore intervening terrain and stuff. He is also on a larger base. So it's harder for him to squeeze into like little areas. You end up using movement dice a lot more to be able to like move around stuff, and movement 3 really helps him out with that. The large rule also gives Bane charge, which is spending 1 movement counter and 1 special counter. You have to move in a straight line, so you move 12 centimeters, and then any character or enemy character that's in the way, you get a free attack against them, and you push them out of the way. So if, like what I use with this all the time is I actually knock people off of objectives. So I'll line Bane up to run into a guy, push them off of the objective, and I get a free strike against them. It just works out really, really well, and large guys like this can really manipulate the way people capture objectives and how you can capture objectives. Large also gives you the bonus of not being able to be knocked down by someone that isn't large. So someone with technique, or if somebody gets that lucky roll that gets the double, it doesn't matter. They have to be large to be able to knock you down. So he only has defense 3s, but it means that you're never being hit on 2s in combat unless somebody has bonuses to hit you. Next personal trait would be reinforced gloves, which instead of doing the standard 1 stun, he gets to do 2 stuns. So he's on par with Batman. So with him being attack 5, that's 10 potential stun that he can do when he punches people. And if you do lethal blow, it's devastating. He then has 2 venom doses. So venom doses are just like Titan, you use at the beginning of the round when you raise the plan, and you get +1 strength on this guy, so he goes from strength 3 to strength 2, which any bonuses that you can get, either to hit, to damage, any of that stuff just makes a character better and better, and this guy is all about close combat. He runs up to people and just beats the crap out of them. And then, not to get off being super awesome in close combat, he also has Master Fighter, which is +1 to hit. So running up to Deathstroke, instead of hitting him on 5s, you hit him on 4s. Master Fighter is really good on him. So he gets plus to hit all the time, and then 2 of the rounds during the game, you get plus to damage. Just makes him really, really good. So next would be Scheming 2. Scheming is when you do the raise the plan phase. If you have the initiative, you can actually hold off on planning 2 of your guys and make your opponent raise the plan, and then you can raise those 2 guys. This makes it so Bane can be pretty sneaky with what he wants to do during the turn. Almost all the time, I actually use one of the Scheming 2 on Bane, and then I'll use it on a free agent or on one of his henchmen that has either the assault rifle or a guy that's ready to run up and attack somebody. Scheming 2 is really good. It can actually affect the game a lot. His last personal trait is Sturdy, and this is the rule that I was talking about that coincides with his endurance. So Sturdy is, for every 3 damage that you take, you lose 1 willpower instead of every 2. So that means that willpower 7, he's going to be keeping his willpower pretty high until essentially he's knocked out or casualtied. His willpower is going to stay pretty high, keeps him really buff, works really well on him. So his reputation cost is 93 reputation and no funding. So any leader is always going to be no funding. and then 93 reputation. So this guy, he lacks a little in being able to shoot people and stuff. He doesn't have any ranged combat to speak of. He is purely close combat. He doesn't have the tricksy stuff to do, so he doesn't have mastermind or confusion or any of that stuff. This guy is pretty straightforward in the way that you're going to use him, but his scheming too can manipulate the game just a little bit, and then him being large and getting charge can be pretty tricksy because opponents won't see that coming when you charge and you bump them off of objectives. It can come out of left field and people just don't expect it. It works really, really well, and I've taken quite a few people off guard with that. 93 points is still a little steep for him because he doesn't have the same mobility that other leaders have, like Batman with having a bat claw, or other guys having acrobat and stuff, so he can't jump over cars and things. I would like to see him pointed a little lower, but for how much damage this guy can put out and having that lethal blow and just shutting down guys for a whole turn, he can be pretty devastating. His weaknesses is you want to make sure that he does not get shot, because all it takes is some handgun that gets to shoot at you 3 times, or an assault rifle or anything like that, and he is gonna take hits and he is gonna go down because he doesn't have anything to be able to protect against that. So make sure that you put him behind either other characters so you get pings off of guys, or put him behind cars or buildings. Make sure that he does not get shot. The way I run this guy is I run him as a leader to the Bane crew, but I would say 75% of the time I actually run him in the Secret Six. I'll have him run around with Catman or with Deadshot, and I'll either use him as the bruiser for Catman, so he'll put out the damage and knock people out because he does 2 stun, he has plus to hit, he has lethal blow. I'll do a ton of damage and either knock somebody down or stun them, and then Catman will run up to them and either coup de grace them because they're on the ground, and he has claws. So with coup de grace, Catman is doing double blood to people on the ground, and it's a fast cleanup. They work really well together. Or I'll use him as a distraction for Deadshot, and he'll run up to Batman or somebody, be fighting them in close combat, and use lethal blow so they can't use counters during the turn, and then Deadshot will shoot them. And even if they're an acrobat or if they have dodge, because they've been stunned, because they got hit with lethal blow and can't use any counters, they get blown away by that Barrett or with the rapid fire cannons. It's just awesome combos. He works really well in the Secret Six team. So this is that comic book art that I was talking about earlier, and it's my inspiration for creating the Bane, the modifications that I have to my Bane. I really love this story arc. This is Arkham Wars. Bane comes to Gotham, essentially tries to take it over. Everybody's like, we're not going to be afraid of you because you're not Batman. And in this story arc, Batman's missing. So that is what has inspired the model that I've done, and I'm really happy with the way that it's come out. So let's take a look at it. So this is my paint job and the work that I did on my Bane. I gave him a cape. I gave him the those bat ears. It's all just green stuff. The cape was actually pretty easy. You just roll up green stuff, lay it out, let it harden just a bit, and then mold it just a little bit with a molding tool. I thought it was going to be pretty hard, but it was actually pretty easy. I made these spikes for him just to make it so he can have a little bit more Batman look with the gauntlets and just that bladed edge look. I really like the way that he's come out. He looks great on the tabletop. Everybody always confuses him with being a Batman, but then they realize that he's actually Bane. But then I just explained to him why I did it this way and what comic book he's from. And I don't think Night Models will ever actually make this, so that's why I'm not worried about it. And if not, like if they actually end up doing it, then I'll just pull the cape off and just repaint him and stuff. So that's it for my tactical take on Bane Origins. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And remember, cause bad guys.